going to start. Welcome to it's been changed to the Young Writers Series, so we're more inclusive now with fiction writers and creative nonfiction and things of that nature. But I'm not going to speak much, but we started this in 2013. Our first young poet to be published, No Need to Speak, is by Emily Pineau over here. Emily then went on to graduate and is now a medical writer in Boston, in the area. She's also got her MFA from Lesley College, and she is now the director of the Young Poet Series, and she's worked with probably all our students, right? Who've been published there, most of them.
Yes.
Most of them. So without further ado, Emily Pineau.
In 2013, which is my sophomore year at Endicott, Doug Holder and Dan Calnan talked about creating a way for students' writing to be taken seriously. A way to give students a chance to be heard, and a chance to have some sort of breakthrough that they never thought they'd have. For me, having a published chapbook of my poetry through Ibbetson Street Press felt surreal. It was my chance to force my shy self to speak up. It gave me more confidence, made me try harder in everything I did, because there was now the phrase, "you never know," floating above my head. And that's what Doug and Dan did for me. They always made me think, you never know, rather than, that's impossible and that would never happen. Sharing my poetry and getting feedback from people gave me a profound sense of belonging and made me realize what I wanted and what it meant to be a writer. As graphic as this may sound, to me, being a writer means to cut yourself up into pieces, to have yourselves embedded in your stories and poems and plays, to leave yourself in places that you belong in or don't belong in. It isn't even about having a book published or being in a magazine, but those things give people the platform to impact people and make connections. This is why the Young Writer Series is such a special program. It gives all Endicott students the chance to stop feeling like an almost adult, almost in the real world, being an almost writer. The Young Writer Series puts an end to the almosts and the maybes and the somedays, and replaces them with you never know. I'm honored to be the director and writer of the Young Writer Series because I'm able to work one-on-one with each student each semester and watch their writing grow alongside the student. I help them find their voice, identify themes in their manuscript, and help them compile the final product. As the end result, they have a perfect bound chapbook, which will be available online on Amazon and Lulu.com. I want to thank Dan, Doug, and Mark Herlihy for keeping this program going and for all your support. And then to announce our first reader, I apologize if I'm saying your last name wrong, but Ben Horgan, is that how you say it? Okay. My last name's always pronounced wrong, so don't worry. 2018 Endicott graduate is interested in the relationship that an individual has with their writing and their art. He enjoys creating and focusing on the complexities of individual characters and using this as a foundation for storytelling. For his senior thesis project, he developed a fictional story about a neurotic recent college graduate who struggles with finding and maintaining purpose, connection, and love in his life. Everybody, Ben.
Hey everyone. First of all, I just want to give a shout out to my sister who's sitting near the back row. Hi, Sarah. A little shocked. I didn't expect it to be the first reader, so just getting a minute to collect myself here. Like Emily said about me, I'm extremely interested in the relationship that a writer and artist has with their work. It's been something that I've explored as I've written my senior thesis and continuing to after graduating. I didn't want to bring in my senior thesis today because it's the voice in there is very distinguished, and without reading or having a senior thesis class with me, it'd be tough to get into it, I guess. So I brought something that I wrote this summertime. I don't have a book with it. It's just a couple pieces of paper. It doesn't have the title either, but from the first line, I'll just call it White Castle. So without further ado, here's White Castle. The castle's on a cliff in England. It's white, pure white. See it on a nice day when the sun's out and bright and it doesn't look real. The sun shines on the castle and you think that there must not be a single part that's worn down. It was built thousands of years ago. Where did I get this? The history's on the webpage. No, you can't know its name. Don't interrupt my story again. He remembered how she looked, how she sat, but not quite her voice, how her voice sounded. He would never remember it as it truly was. But he could remember pieces of the conversation. Her eyes were squinted, his hands were on her thighs. They sat close. She spoke again. It has 3 towers, 2 of which are so close. Not so close to connect, and one is a little higher. Inside is the master bedroom. It's not a museum. It was the home of one of the most wealthiest aristocratic families, but they lived secluded from the rest of society. Fast forward, and now it's a venue. Yes, I'm serious. That's where we're staying. 2 nights, a few families can stay at a time. You can ask for a small kitchen or eat in the royal dining hall with the rest of the families who stay. He remembered snickering, trying to kiss her. She wouldn't, though. She had continued to tell him about their plans. When he asked to see a picture of it, she said, no, you have to wait and see. But he continued to ask him questions, playful flirtation, getting closer to her face, fingers moving up and down her back. What colors are inside? What meals do they usually have? When the hell are we going? She just shook her head. I don't believe you. You're full of it, he said. Then she had given him something, and he remembered this, but not as much as he wished. He wished he could play it over in his mind. He wished he could play it again in his mind, with all the missing fragments put back together, over and over. Wait until you see the master bedroom, she had said. She leaned in and kissed him, gently dragged his upper lip between her teeth. He tried to again, but she had stopped and stepped back, straight-faced, unfazed. Are you gonna tell me more? He asked. No, not now. I'm leaving, she said. And then she did. He watched her open the door from his apartment and disappear from view. And then, 4 months later, she left again, and that was the last time. She had not kissed him then. He thinks of this memory, of that moment, once again where he sits now. His eyes are on the creation in front of him, a canvas painting. Once blank a few hours ago, now a white castle on a cliff. It checks each of the criteria. The white color is pure, purest he could find. The sun isn't painted, but one can see its effect. The castle shines in the viewer's eye. Not a single part is worn down. In his mind, a path leads up to the castle. He can see it each step. A few miles long, he could travel through a narrow route up to the cliff where the castle is, where he can see it from this side. He'd hold his breath. But that view is not the perspective. He didn't paint the path for that side of the castle. In fact, no one can see the perspective he shows except for the birds. The massive bedroom within the tower has a silver window with light frames. It looks out over the cliff. Detail was given to the window. There's some scarlet red within the window, bed sheets that can be seen. And then the final tiny details. 2 pairs of legs interlocked. With the smallest brush, he painted this. It took him an hour to finish, but not just because of his particularity. He imagined a pair of those legs to be hers, which left the others. And they were not his. In fact, when he drove home to paint the day's creation, he could see many different characters of the men she'd be with next, if not already, and he needed to create this. But he painted none of them, not specifically. Their faces and upper figures cannot be seen. This was intentional. He never wanted to paint a more focused picture. Paint no faces, no pivotal scenes. It'd be too much. Yet he thought it was smart just to paint the legs. Perhaps not this day, but maybe tomorrow, the next day, or later on, he'd be kept up late at night by his thoughts. Rather than continuing to toss and turn, he might take the painting from the closet and turn on the light. The light would illuminate the colors, and in his mind, he would imagine the 4 legs belonged to her and to him, and in this fantasy, he would be happy for a while. When his eyes and conscience fixated back on the present moment, it was afternoon and getting darker inside. He felt tired and so stood up and walked slowly to bed to lay down. Not intending it, slept for a few hours, waking up feeling discombobulated early in the evening. He took the painting and looked at it once more, then walked to the smaller of the 2 closets within his bedroom. He used it as storage. He opened the door and stood the painting up on one of the shelves.
Next to it, above and below, on 4 of the shelves, were, and he had needed to count again, now 47 canvas paintings. That's it.
All right, next up we have Julia help me say it?
Cirignano.
Okay, thank you. Graduated from Endicott College with a BA in creative writing in 2017. Soon after, Julia self-published a book of poetry titled White Line and Medical Marijuana. She has several articles published by Limelight Magazine and That Music Magazine, and poetry published in the Endicott Review, the Endicott Observer, Mad Squirrel, the New York Times, the New York Literary Magazine, Red Wolf Journal, Scribe Base, the Somerville Times, and the Wire's Dream Magazine. And without further ado, Julia.
Hello, my name is Julia Cirignano. I graduated from Endicott in 2017, like you said. This is my book, White Wine and Medical Marijuana. It was my thesis, and I went on to self-publish. So I'm going to read a few poems from this book, and then I'm going to go and read some new stuff. The first poem I'm going to read is titled Rose Gardens, and it was actually published in the Somerville Times by Dan Calnan. This is the first poem in my collection. Rose Gardens. I have galaxies and rose gardens in my head. They come out as whispers and rolled eyes. I blink and a rose blooms, but no one notices. I hum and life is found on a new planet. A melody is created, but they only see me walk. They see my curves, but not my angles. They see my face, but not my messy gardens, with roses and thorns and diamonds that grow from the warm soil like new ideas. So a lot of the poems in this book are about college, written in college, some even in high school, but mostly a reflection of college for me and my experience. So you'll see a lot of that. All of a sudden, you're shoving dried Cheerios down your throat for breakfast. Your hands are sticky from the sugar. You're not a kid anymore. You're almost 20 years old and you went to class this morning still drunk. Stale urine. You thought it would be butterscotch kisses, but it turned out to be the smell of stale urine in a public bathroom. The rusty stall doors are hard to manage. They're awkward and you scrape yourself trying. You finally manage to escape, but the mirror shows you what you've been running from. The dirtiest parts of your face and the calloused parts of your soul. Sand scratches your feet against the hot concrete. Sea salt stings the cracks in your cuticles. And your neck twitches when you try to stretch. The locks are worn off and broken, so you can't trust anything or anyone, like you've never been safe and you never will be. A theme that I talk about a lot in this book and also with my newer writing is OCD and perfection, the frustration that comes when you don't achieve perfection. And this one poem titled Unsettled talks about that. Never truly satisfied, like a constant itch. Never straight lines, almost neat piles. Little mistakes and imperfections build under my skin, so I scratch until little pieces of my body flake away. Slowly but surely I rip through the many layers of irritation, because sometimes it's the little things that eventually kill you. Debauchery. We descend down the dirty hallways like geese heading south. We are trying to escape the cold hours bent, heads over books, eyes bloodshot by the illuminated light of the computer screen. We walk in a fashioned triangle, pretending not to notice their eyes moving over our cool skin. Goosebumps appear, stemming from their nasty thoughts. It's a rush to feel their attention and a disgrace to like it so much. War zone. Lipstick containers, lines like glossy black bullets, little black dresses meant to burn your eyes and steal your soul. The ticking of the clock and the beat of the music counts down the minutes until your death. Eyeliner drawing out the rules and the game plan. Eyeshadow, hiding our secrets and romanticizing our pupils. Our heels make you gag and stare. Hallways and bright lights, warm air and cold breath. You taste vodka on my tongue like I've poisoned you, but have only poisoned myself. Sweat drips down my smile as I dance. My hair tangles itself around my neck. You can see your victory like we've already made it to your room, but we're not, and I'm gone, and I'm not even sorry. And I'm running and laughing and broken. I want want to cry, but I keep running and laughing and coughing on the cold air. My sweat freezes as it drips down the back of my neck. I'm trapped and I'm running, so I'll keep running and pretend I'm free. Sunday morning. I'm hungover in an elevator. I imagine sticking my fingers in the door, but I don't. Or a caricature of a real relationship, and that's all we'll ever be. It's okay. You don't have to tell me you'll never leave. Just tell me you don't want to. This next poem was published in the Endicott newspaper. I got to live my controversial poet dream because football players. I just want to lie in your bed and pretend that we are in love because it makes my life bearable. I want to drink Captains with Coke on a Thursday night because it holds back the tears. I want you because you're warm-blooded, so I guess we're both to blame. You've never lived a creative life, so you don't understand how unsettling it can be. Yet the idea of safety terrifies me, so maybe we're not meant to be together because you love normal and you don't believe in ghosts, and you're confused about my confusion and uneasy about the things I question. So I will just lie in your bed next to a warm-blooded boy, and you will hate me for my thoughts, and I will hate you for your lack of thoughts. But we will kiss and I will stay. So this book talks a lot about my frustrations and depression and anxiety and stuff that I dealt with in college, but I wanted there to be a little bit of a turning point and a more hopeful ending. This is around that time in the book. Moving on. I drink this bottle of Captain Morgan, determined and frantic, like it's full of the words you never said, because sometimes you have to forgive the people who hurt you, even if they never asked for your forgiveness. Victory. One day I will be the thing I want to be. I will lick the devil and tease an angel. I will have fangs and I will have claws. The sun will watch me set and the ocean will watch me crash. I will smile when you say you hate me. I will question you when you say you love me. One day I will be the thing I want to be. I will have wings and I will have an army. I will get tequila wasted and make a fool out of her. The hurricanes will watch me swirl and the strippers will watch me undress, and you will watch me walk away. Alright, so now I'm going to read some of my newest stuff. You guys get the debut of these new poems. It had never been read in public before, or published or anything. This is kind of some stuff I've been working on for hopefully a second book. The first poem, it's pretty short, but it's kind of my response to my first book and how I felt about my first book and why it was important to me. Writer. I exploit myself with these explicit obsessions. I cleanse myself through these poetic confessions. Broken. She's been disappointed, but she's never been crushed against concrete by the rough hands of a man until her intentions and guts spill out all over the road, and she forgets who she is and what she wants and the power she has to say no and stop settling for pretty boys with empty insides, sending poison into her body through their pointed fingers. This next poem I think fits a little bit more with the themes of my book, but it was written a little bit after. Old-fashioned. This old house creaks beneath my weight, straining against my rebellion. In this classic bungalow, there's no room for low-cut shirts and creamy marijuana smoke. Cluttered with tradition, there's no room for innovation. From the crowded basement to the empty attic, there's no space for a whore. There's too much history in the squeaking floorboards who tattletale on me creeping up the stairs at 3 a.m. Alright, I have one last poem. It's titled Anger Issues. Rage boiling like a forever stubbed toe. I see my crazy, but I can't do anything about it. Injustice all around me. I'm walking into walls, tripping off cliffs. Rejected by Jesus himself. I am trying to be productive, damn it. But now I need to retrace my steps. Time lost, valuable time. Constant back pain, twitching nerves and twisted muscles. I have a seizure in my throat. Just a sob. Why? Why so emotional at a Disney movie? I fill the grayed out confusion with chocolate frosted flakes and gin. I can barely read, barely listen to music. I'm nostalgic as all hell. Sentimental about senseless actions. I'm ignoring the right direction, focusing on what I've lost, what I cannot achieve. So many more talented, so many more qualified for the position. Can I do it? Will the nightmares get the best of me? How can I be at peace amongst this chaos? Where will I be in 4 years? Still walking into doors, numerous typeovers, hangovers, and heartbreaks. I'm the weakest warrior you've ever met, the nicest lunatic you'll ever meet. Rushing and fussing and messing up, falling down, belittled and enlightened, stumbling onto a murder scene, naive but not naive enough. Caring, confused,
I have actually had the pleasure with working with him, I think it was 2 semesters ago? Do you remember? Oh, sorry, I was asking Doug, but yeah. Okay. Dan is a sophomore at Endicott College, majoring in English with a concentration in creative writing and a minor in computer science. Dan is the current editor-in-chief of the Endicott Review, the college's literary magazine. His poetry has been featured in the Review as well as the Somerville Times. He is originally from Lynn, Massachusetts, where he has written articles for his hometown paper, The Daily Item. His first poetry book, To Move a Piano, was released this past June. Everybody?
Thank you, everyone. Can everyone hear me good? You in the back, good? Awesome. Thank you all for coming out, especially my Endicott Review people over here, and I think a couple of you are kind of spread out. It's a great turnout, more than I expected, but I'm glad you all are interested. Like Emily was saying, the Young Writer Series does allow students to have a voice to get themselves out there. I was blessed to be a part of that and have my poetry book published. I'm going to read a few poems from it. Just a little bit of insight about what kind of led me to this book. I actually had the opportunity to get this published in my first year of college, which I don't know if was that very common in the Young Writer Series to publish a freshman?
No. Although we're doing one this, you're working with freshmen now.
Allison, are you a freshman? Oh, I thought you were back there for some reason. Oh, okay.
She's a freshman.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't have as much, I didn't really have any college experience, really. So a lot of this book was based on my experiences from the transition from the end of high school into college, which is kind of unique because you're not really an adult yet. Like, sort of in the eyes of the law you are, but in a way you're still developing, you're still building yourself. And in my personal experience, as you guys probably know, senior year of high school is a very busy time of year. It's like extremely stressful with trying to apply for college, to make it into college. And I think senior year really kind of dried me out. And after I was done, my creative juices were just kind of dead. And however, when I got into college and I took Professor Sklar's creative writing class, I found a new voice for myself in poetry, which wasn't really something that I had experimented with before. And I think it really, really helped me put myself out there and get myself back into thinking creatively. The first poem I'm going to read is called English Major, which came about from many of the times that I was asked what I'm going to major in college, because whenever you see someone they haven't seen for a while, that's the first thing they want to know. Oh, that's nice. I suppose it is. So you want to be a teacher? I mean, I could be a teacher. What do you plan to do with that? I hope you're not looking for me to say teaching. You know, there's not a lot of jobs with that. Well, there's certainly more than just teaching. Oh, do you like to read? Well, I would sure as hell hope so. Oh, cool. Very thoughtful responses, as usual. Oh, do you want to be a writer? I'd appreciate the enthusiasm if I didn't know what follows. Can I read it? God damn it. You're going to be like the next Stephen King. I hate Stephen King. I definitely read your stuff. I'm not sure you'd like it, but okay. What kind of stuff do you write? Wish I knew, pal. That was one of the very rare occurrences that when Emily suggested something to revise, I vehemently denied. I appreciate everything you did for me, but I think one of the biggest points of that poem is that all of the dialogue is disembodied because it's just stuff that I heard everywhere. The next poem I will read, which I think kind of embodies what I was talking about a moment ago about how getting into college is a big transition. This poem actually is big hit with people who I've shared it with, so much so that Doug Holder published it in the Somerville Times around this time last year. It's called 18. 18 is verdant, a darker, calmer green, like leaves in a deep forest upon aged trees. 18 is those leaves, snapping away from the branch, blowing away, sometimes taking rest before being blown away again. 18 is driftwood in the sea, unpredictably moving, reaching all the horizons, sometimes floating in calm waters, but then launched by storm. 18 is the sand battered by tide, sometimes untouched, dry and pure, but then bombarded and baptized by waves. 18 is the age where you no longer hide, where you no longer sleep, where you cannot stay still, where you cannot not move, where you cannot not live, where you no longer cannot not be a kid, where you must leave the tree, where you must face the sea, where you must eat the tide and be beat by your dreams, where your whole world seems to fall apart at the seams. 18 is the age of freedom with chains, a test of your strength to conquer yourself. Everyone seems to love that one. I hope you guys did too. The next one I'm going to read is actually one of the first poems I ever wrote, excuse me. I wrote this poem actually during the summer before college. It was my first kind of little exploration into the realm of poetry, but Professor Sklar's teaching and Emily's guidance allowed me to kind of refine it, make it a little bit more organized. It's called Jester. Be I wrought with wicked thought? Be I sunk in mumblings of drunks? Be I vain and sound insane? Is it wrong that I sing song? Is it wrong that I live long? Does it creep the sheep like a wily wolf that engulfs the mind of every kind? Or am I noble and endearing? A heroic rebel are they hearing? Am I to free them from their chains? Or better aim their disdain? Alas, my mind's exhausted this. I'm only good for parlor tricks. Keep them smiling and entertained, make them find joy in their pain, sometimes whisper a bit of truth, but not too much to seem uncouth. But maybe I can raise the staff. Well, to spare my head, I'll make them laugh. The last one I will read is actually the title poem of the chapbook called To Move a Piano. Quick little plug, you can buy this on Amazon, and I believe there's a couple different sites you can find it on. I don't have any books with me, unfortunately, but if you guys wanted to purchase it for yourself, that would be awesome. So this is To Move a Piano. Up and up and up and up, lifted by a rusty pulley, inched and inched with creaking screams, minuscule cries for help that barely touch your ears. Creak, 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 a massive weight carried by this lift. A grand piano, smooth, dark brown hardwood, filled with metallic wire and ivory keys, and a cast iron harp, and all the parts inside splattered on the cold, cruel concrete, shattered like a great glass sculpture that took years and years to create. But you try not to think of that when you have to move a piano. Lifting the colossal contraption, that gargantuan weight that makes you feel like Atlas, holding the sky above your head. But God damn it, you can't help it. Hearing creaking pulleys and the wind blowing past your face as you stare down at the ground below, it consumes your mind. The falling, shattering, everything you've been working towards, slowly and gracefully, swiftly and terribly, damned to hell and left in pieces on the cold, hard concrete. But you've already started, and now, just for a while, you're in an eternity of looming disaster, of infinite fear. And the small but living hope that it will make it to the top and forever be at rest to play music in the sky. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to introduce myself again because I think everyone knows who I am. So I'm just going to dive in. So these are poems. Okay, this one's called A Tiny Heart. When the pills work, it's a no-brainer to never stop taking them as prescribed. 8 at night, 3 in the morning. Swallow fast before you taste them. But if you want to be more than just you, if you want to have another life grow inside, those pills aren't simple anymore. You start to notice the pill powder that sticks to your fingers, how it shows up on armrests in your new black shirts. You become overly aware of how long it takes to distribute each pill into the 7 plastic compartments. You make sure to pay close attention to the oranges and whites and the shapes. Make sure you get it right, that one doesn't fall on the carpet, waiting for the cat to get sick. Before the pills, most of your body was a teeter-totter of pain. Sometimes the burn, sometimes the itch. Couldn't sit down, couldn't wake up without it being the first thing on your mind. And you can't imagine being there again, in the life that pinned you to your tear-soaked pillows. But then you think of the weight in your arms that you ache for, feet kicking, reminding you that at least when the pain comes back, there will be a purpose, an end result, a tiny heart that thanks you. This one's called First Time in a Used Bookstore. We kiss in front of horror books and people without faces we could make out. We had a car, but books drive us to face each other before the papers are signed, before my heart's stitches dissolve, before we know how it feels to start over, with the sun fresh in our starved skin. We breathe hard, but not because we feel fire and stars, but because it is the first time we kissed in a used bookstore. This one's called It Was Time for Me. You kissed her for the kids and washed it down with sweet coffee. And even when the kids weren't around, your mouth still pressed and your lips were on ceramic right after, part of your routine. You held your lips there long enough to have meaning. You preferred your coffee scalding to feel it burn straight down to your middle. I wondered if your heart had coffee stains and if you had any room left for me. I always waited for my coffee to cool, for the cream to dance in it. But one night I finished mine before you, and it was time for me to leave. You choked on your last sip, long, bitter, and full of coffee grounds. This one's called How to Love Me. My body is an obstacle course, and only you know how bad it gets. The sharp turns and deep falls, the way we end up turned around, face wet with not knowing when the pain will stop and how far it will push, how fast it will rip through the roads of me, cutting through the yellow lines or veins in bones with just one slice. There are no cones or signs here, just red, swollen, and never the same again after a diagnosis, no cure. Only you know when to stop without me having to tell you, because you feel the empty spaces in my breaths, the hesitation of my heart, and we rebuild the course through our body movements, lay there quiet when it settles. We settle unknowing tomorrow is another ride. And this is the last one, and it's called For the Birds. Too young for a bone scan, so the nurse asks how tall I am and if I've ever been any taller. I laugh, thinking of my license, how being 5'3" is a lie, how easy it is to round up. I tell her I'm the tallest I'll ever be, and she smiles at the lack of osteoporosis and the red spreading across my cheeks. She doesn't ask me why I'm here, but I tell her anyways, her typing fingers at the ready, shoulders forward. I try to spell out my condition, but the letters feel heavy and misplaced when I can't see them. On the table, she says to lay flat, don't talk, don't move. 3 minutes in, I forget. Tell her it feels like I'm on a ride. The table moves with the scanner clicking into place. She adjusts me, velcros my feet to some type of cushion. I can't tell if this is for everyone or just me. Off the table, she rehooks my bra, suggesting we are friends now, or that it's in her job description. She tells me that she'd want someone to do it for her if the roles were reversed. Her lips are glossy, and I can't stop staring at the shine of them when she says she wonders if it's raining. She glances out the windows, everything gray and dotted with water. Instead of saying goodbye or telling me where the exit is, she says, "This weather is for the birds." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily, for all you've done for the Young Writers Series. Now we have time for open mics for people who want to read from their own work, be it prose or poetry. Let's see. Anyone? Any brave soul want to come up here?
I can do it.
That's it? Okay. Well,
Yes, Anna. Good.
your name is?
Anastasia.
That's good.
So I guess I have 3 poems to read. One of them is just any poem, and the other one I actually wrote in German, and then the third one is a translation of that one. So I'll just read the regular one first. This one's kind of about having anxiety while you're in a relationship, and it's about like the trust issues it kind of causes, so some context there. Don't leave. I fear to believe your heart is true. Out of fear you'll do what my father did, and I have to relive those years. I have so many fears I know are irrational, but the worst of all, they sit there waiting to become true, and I'm debating if they are. My mental scars on the back of my neck, my wrists, my stomach, my bliss lies within your love, my sanity undone. At the cost of one mistake, I will break. My heart turns to a puzzle, but my brain has a muzzle over the place, memory of your warm embrace. Now, I'm not fluent in German, just to put that out there, but I did take it for 4 years in high school, so I kind of based it off of what I knew with that. So let's read that one. This one's kind of about what it feels like to kind of have depression, and when you're going through especially like a rough phase in life, just kind of how it feels and everything. Ich habe traurig in meinem Kopf, also ich kann nicht denken, weil die Farbe schwarz in meiner Seele schwimmt. Die Sterne in den Himmel glühen nicht so hell, weil ich so allein fühle. Meine Augenecken am Bild kippen, weil ein Gewicht von einer Schnur zu meiner Wimpern hängt. Die einzige Sache, das mich kann speichern, ist deine Liebe. Mein Speck, was auch immer das sein kann, ich weiß nicht. Die Sonne, die Schokolade, aber habe ich traurig immer in meinem Herz. And I'll read the translation for that. I have sadness in my head. I cannot think because the color black swims in my soul. The stars in the sky glow not so bright because I feel so alone. My eye corners point downwards because a weight hangs by a string to my eyelash. The only thing that can save me is your love, my purpose, whatever that may be, I don't know. The sun, the chocolate, but I'll always have sadness in my heart. And that's
Wow, we've got German translations now, right?
Yeah.
Sophisticated. So, who else? Come on. Come on. Any of my students, you get an extra credit if you come up here and read something.
I'm getting requests here. I'm going to do one poem. If I have it here. This is dedicated to the actors over here. Because I walked out on their performance on Saturday. I thought it was over. I will never live that down. It was intermission. But they're going to give me a video to see it, right?
Yes.
Okay. all right.
This will make up for it.
Yes.
And giving us signed copies of your books, which we all know about now.
Okay, all right. So this is kind of connected with that. It's called Raised by Wolves. Raised by Wolves. You know, I should have been raised by wolves. If I was raised by wolves, I'd be a happy person. You are part of something and you are a wolf. You have pure, You are pure with teeth and fur and eyes. No one tells you what to think or do or be. You are a wolf. No one says you can't be a wolf. Wolf mothers don't tell their cubs to be lawyers. I wish I was raised by wolves. When a wolf dies, she dies. The other wolves are sad for a time, and that's all there is to it. Wolves don't make a big deal out of everything. Wolves do not need money, or gods, or passports, or fancy cars, or health insurance. All they need is to wrestle and love and hunt.
God damn, I want to be a wolf.
All right, that's for you.
All right, who else? I know they're hard acts to follow. Come on up here.
Oh,
Who? What? Yep.
we got two over here.
All right, there you go. Your name, sir?
Jim.
Nice to meet you, Jim.
So I would not have come up to do this if Ben Horgan hadn't given me 3 successive glances and nods to do so. And I'm just scrolling back to find the actual, there we go. So I really just want to read this because of what day it is. November 6th. Vote. Everyone, vote. This poem was published in the Endicott Review just last semester, and it's called "I Want to Be a Teacher." Something I wrote at fit of anger at about 3 in the morning. It would have been February 15th, the day after the Stone Douglas shooting. I want to be a teacher. Fill their minds with curiosity, not fill their wounds with my thumb to slow their dying. I want to give the classroom endless books, not give their corpses to wailing parents and green-faced medics. I want to clean their souls of prejudice and hate, not clean their blood from desks and tile floors. I want to hear their speeches on slavery, ancestors, and novels, not hear their screams as shot after shot slays the prom queen, slays the theater kid, slays your kid, and slays me. I want to love and save our children, not from searing bullets, but from a future without potential. You must save our children first. I want to be a teacher. For all of us, let me teach. You know what I'm saying? Go.
We thank you so much, sir, Mr. Kelly. Who's next? All right. And your name, sir?
My name's Hunter Gillis.
All right.
I'm a sophomore, English, secondary ed. I'm gonna read a few poems for you guys. Mainly I write about my depression, my sexuality, and my mother. So, here it goes. This one's called "Sometimes I Don't Turn on the Lights and Sit in the Dark." It is often that I heard, even in my darkest of days, your smile can brighten up a room. I was always so confused to why my body can generate this false impression when I was feeling the exact opposite. How can something from someone so dark enlighten something? I did not understand, yet I understood all too well. On the outside, I made it seem okay, put everyone before myself. It is like I wasn't struggling just for the sake of others, especially my mother. I have always put others before myself, and maybe this is why I'm not progressing. Sometimes I don't turn on the lights, and I sit in the dark, because it bothers me that people compare my smile to lightness when all I felt was dark. So I sit there, silence, my face trying to deflect the light that everyone else saw because I couldn't see it. I didn't want to see it, so I turn off the lights. I prove people wrong. I'm crying for help. Someone please save me from this darkness. Strip me from this room. Turn my lights on. Blind me. This one's called "We Should Just Kiss Like Real People Do." We should just kiss like real people do. No matter our surroundings, how awkward it might feel, we are real people too. When we are walking down the street, hand in hand, even though we hate that, we shouldn't feel like we can't. We are real people too. When we are at a party, dancing, having a good time, we should be able to kiss like that boy and girl over there. We are real people too. We should be able to laugh, have a meal together in a restaurant even, without getting the glares from that conservative-looking man. We are real people too. It wasn't a choice, but if it was, I would still choose you. We should be able to walk down the aisle together, be able to feel your lips against mine. We should just kiss like real people do. This one is called, I Just Want Someone I Can Believe to Tell Me That It's All Going to Be Fine. When I was in your womb, you nurtured me into the person I am today. You sang to me, read me stories, even took a kick to the stomach every once in a while. You endured pain and sickness just to assure that I would make it out alive. February 2nd, 1999, you held me close and whispered to me gently, it's all going to be fine. Preschool, 2003, we would share our favorite toys, books we couldn't even read. We would take each other's crayons, even if we weren't going to use that specific color. I was coloring the sun, you wanted the black, but I didn't want you to have it. We would get into a fight, stomp our feet, pout our faces, the teacher would yell. And we would not be the best friends we agreed we were this morning anymore. Then we would sit at circle time in the alphabetical letter we were assigned today, the first day of school. Tomorrow is day 2. And Mom, you told me it's all going to be fine. Your friend in the letter P will forget it ever happened. Fast forward 10 years, high school, freshman, cell phones, social media, holidays, school shootings, drugs, bombings, threats, alcohol, bullies, cliques. Your best friend on letter P is in jail. You would go home and hide all of your fears from your mother. She already knew. Even without you telling her, her intuition, she would tell me everything is going to be fine. Fast forward college, a whole new life. P is dead. You are scared and not ready to leave your mother. You held me close and whispered to me gently, it's all going to be fine. Fast forward, wedding day, 2030, something like that. The world is even scarier, more shootings, more media, more horror, more phones, more bombs. A lot more drugs and alcohol. I've endured many kicks to the stomach, have endured pain, sickness, just to assure I would make it out alive. I made it to the day I can confide into someone other than my mother who is not here. I wish you were here, to tell me that it was all going to be fine. But when I say I do, someone will take your place, but not quite. A light shines through the church window into my eyes. I close them. You hold me close and whisper to me gently, it's all going to be fine. Thank you.
Oh, great poems, great poems. Want to hear some more? Anyone? Someone from my class? Extra credit? No one else? Wants to read a poem? All right, Dan, I guess you could close it then.
Okay, me?
Yeah, I guess you'll close it.
Okay. I'm not gonna read a poem. I'm just gonna close that. This is great. This is the first time we're doing this, by the way. So I want to thank Emily, Julia, Dan, and Ben for putting this together. And we're going to do this we're going to do this every semester.